Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to another week of Science with Mr. Gilbert. We're still going to be exploring physical and chemical changes. This week, we're going to go a little bit more in depth. I'm going to do some observations. Well, I'm going to do some experiments. You're going to observe them. But first, I want to go over our vocabulary. We only have two main key vocabulary components this week, and it is physical change and chemical change. And when something is physical, it's still the same. You can do something to it and it's still the same. But when we have a chemical change, that substance is no longer the same. So I'm going to do a quick little observation for you, and I'm going to go over the tools that I have that I'm working with today. I have some tissue paper. I have a lighter because I need that. It's going to help with my chemical changes to that later. Think of that higher order thinking later. What does this help do? And I have some water right here. Water is just to help me do my presentation for you. So first I mentioned physical change. If we look at physical change, I can get this paper right here, this tissue paper right here. And if I break it apart, this paper is still physically the same thing. Like you can still use this. This paper is still the same. It's still the same substance, okay? This would be a physical change. Things are still the same. It's still here. Nothing new has been made. This is still the same piece of paper. I just tore it apart, okay? Now, chemical change is a little different, okay? I'm going to get some more paper. Here, I have this paper here. Still same tissue paper, right? But let me do something, so I'm going to add a little heat. And boys and girls, don't do this by yourselves. If you want to do this experiment, do it with your parents. So let's look. Right here, this is now changing. This is not the same subject. That turns into a totally, completely different thing. So if you look here at the burn marks of this paper, this is where the paper burned at. This is no longer the same compound. This has changed. It went through a chemical reaction. The heat caused it to break down. This is no longer the same as this. These are two different things now, okay? So this would result in a chemical change. When the paper burned, that was a chemical change. And I'll do one more demonstration of it on a slightly slower level. Hopefully it'll burn a little slower, just to show you a little model. So look, as it goes, the paper is changing. As I add the heat to it, it's slowly changing. That is changing. That heat is changing the compounds of this paper. So you can no longer use this paper again. It's a totally different thing at this point. It's going through and it's changing. This is a chemical reaction. See? Oh. See how that changed? This is not the same as this anymore. And boys and girls, thank you for listening. Your work this week will come from Nearpod. We're going to be doing some investigations. You're going to be deciding, are some things physical change or chemical change? And we're going to get some higher level thinking questions. I'm going to ask you about, like, when you eat food and you eat it and the stomach acid, the acid is really hot, so it changes the compounds of the food. And it's not the same anymore. It's different, okay? But we're going to be going through some things. We're going to be looking through some things. And we're going to be making some observations. So, boys and girls, have a wonderful week. This is Mr. Gilbert. Hit me up if you need anything.